Hi, everybody. This is the ADHD Founders Podcast, where some founders who also have ADHD chat about our businesses, building them, the things that help us about ADHD, the things that make it harder, and everything in between. So, to start off, we like to just check in on what we've gotten done in the last week. So, Marie, what have you gotten done?
Hey, this week has been a weird week for me. I've been doing a lot of business admin recently, and I've been going through a lot of our help articles. So when I do customer support, I've been getting like a lot of the same queries. So I started writing a few articles to help with that and templates that I can use to make the process a bit easier and a bit clearer for the customers. I also started working on a new feature. It's a really tiny one, but it's something that's been requested quite a bit. And it's really just there's some sounds in Llama Life, and a lot of people have been asking for more variety with the different sounds. So it's super tiny, but it's come up so many times that I thought I'll just do it because I haven't done much coding this year, and it's a really nice, easy thing to do to get back into the swing of coding without stressing my brain out too much.
And eating the ice cream version, like doing the fun thing to kind of get you back into it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I think so, and it's a tiny thing as well, and I know what the outcome is gonna be. It's not a creative thing where I really need to think about, like, how does it fit with the product. It's something that exists already, and I'm just trying to put in more variety for the customer, but that still requires coding, and it still requires, like, adding some menus and things like that, which are super easy and just yeah, like I said, kind of a way to ease back in.
So have
Yeah.
you thought about, I know you're saying it's like a really easy thing to do, and now
Yeah.
I'm immediately thinking of how it could be a not easy thing, but really cool thing.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing like there's a lot of gamification in Llama Life, doing something where you could like unlock certain you did something like that before, right? You had
We
something
we
for
did.
unlocking.
Yeah, I was super proud of that actually. You could unlock different soundscapes and different icons for the mobile app. And the way you unlocked it was you went to like a web page and there was like a little, those little scratchy things like touch.
Scratch off Lotto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a digital version of that where you basically see the scratchy. So it's like a tin, like it looks like tin foil. And I actually, to get the tin foil, I took a photo of like some tin and then I just put it on the screen so it looks like tin foil, and then you literally take your mouse or your finger if you're on your phone, and you scratch it, and it scratched it off to reveal, like, the icon that you could claim or the soundscape that you could claim. So I had that. I actually forgot all about that. I should bring it back, but the problem with that is that it was like a not everyone got it. Like, no, it was only like a point in time thing where you go, "Hey, let me go claim this item." Whereas what people are asking for is variety all the time. Like, I want a different sound because the sound that I happen to choose, they don't like it or they got bored of it, so they don't hear it. And they need
Hmm.
to hear it for it to, give them an indication that they should stop doing a task.
ADHD ears don't hear it.
The ADHD ears don't hear it, they got used to it, so they need something
Mhm.
different, and that's like a key component is, like, you need variety with ADHD, you need novelty,
Yeah.
and I guess that sound had just lost its novelty. But if you wanna
Right.
make it more complex, Jesse, what you could do is you could say, let people upload their own sounds, and,
Oh man.
then you have to
I
store
don't
it.
know if I would do that. I'm allergic to letting users like same sort of thing with like colors. Like a lot of times I feel like, oh, let the user pick any color.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
just
no,
like,
no, no.
no, no, no. Give them the good colors because most people are going to pick terrible colors. And I don't want to see
Yeah.
that in my app.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, we could do a whole episode in colors because we had colors and yeah, they were problematic. Because some people were saying they want to record their voice and have themselves yelling at themselves like, "Stop, stop doing
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
doing." So it's just an
Or like have
audio
their
of
mom
themselves.
yell at
Yeah.
them.
Another thing you could do as I'm trying to make this more complicated. Do you know the app Clear? It was like a
Yeah.
very orange app with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tasks
It's
that you can
beautiful.
slide and swipe away. Yeah,
Mhm,
really
mhm.
like kind of an early iOS app, and then they just redid a new version like a year ago or something like that. And one of the things I remember they did, there's a lot of different things you could do in the app that would unlock. So it had like a couple of default icons and color schemes and stuff like that. But then if you did something like, oh, I created a list with like 50 items in it, you'd get a little like achievement thing, and that would unlock a new theme that you could select. And so there's kind of like all these hidden achievement things that you could unlock. So that's something you could add like, oh, hey, maybe there's 3 sound sets that are like the default. Like you have your default one and then maybe 1 or 2 extra ones. And then you have like one that's like llama sounds only or something like that. Like other ones that you
Oh,
could
wow.
unlock, that would be pretty fun.
Oh, llama sounds
You
are
know,
fun.
when I first started Llama Life, I had the website, and when you clicked a button on the website to open the actual product, I actually did have a llama sound. Or maybe it was a sheep. I don't know at the time. It was like a bah,
Probably
and I
sounds
thought
similar, right?
I thought it was super funny, but after a while I took it off because it was a bit weird, I think. But maybe I'll
Right.
put it back. Maybe I'll put it back.
I like the idea of novelty sounds. Classic examples, ringtones, right? Where people
Yeah.
Right.
customization was huge for that. And I was the one who with the pre-iPhone, like flip phones and Nokia candy bar phones, I would always have a custom ringtone that I, like, had downloaded of like, Push It, Salt and Pepper was my big one when it was like, "Beep, beep, 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 beep," and I loved it, and I do that still for, like, all my alarms to wake up have a very intentional, like, song that I feel like will work for the specific situation, so I love customizing that
Yeah,
stuff.
I still do. I still have like the ringtone from I don't know if either of you watched the show 24, but
Yes.
Oh
the
"Boop,
my
I
boop,
god.
love that show, and
boop,
there's a very
I
boop."
love
iconic
it.
CTU, like the
Yes.
phone ring there was doo 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 doo.
Yes.
It was like this
Yeah.
really iconic
Yeah, yeah,
sound, and I
yeah.
had that on my phone for a
Do you know
long
what I
time.
did when I
That's
used to
fun.
work in corporate? I put that ringtone. That is actually a ringtone that is inbuilt in a Cisco corporate phone.
Oh, is
So
that
Oh,
what it's from?
it's actually
Oh, okay.
inbuilt. So I went through the menu of my phone on my desk and I chose that. So I had the CTU ringtone on my corporate phone all the time.
oh
Nice.
my
Yeah, yeah,
gosh.
I was really proud
That's
of
so
that. So yeah, that was my week.
And
What have
now
you
it's
been
gonna be
doing?
many weeks for you now that we've made it a much more advanced feature, so
Yeah, I love that idea, Jesse. Like, how c like, it's actually a good reframe too, like, because I think a lot of us start with how to make something really hard and big, and part of, like, the hardest thing is actually figuring out how to boil it down, and, well, we'll talk about
totally.
that
We can
more
talk
this
about that.
episode.
Yeah, yeah. How was your week, Sharon?
I had a balance of creative stuff and administrative stuff, AKA the worst thing ever. I had a lot of tax stuff, like taxes that I had to kind of go through and finish a little bit on right at the deadline or maybe like a day after my accountant gave me, but we got it. It's all in. We're making an iOS app. So up to now, Shelpful has been a service that operates over WhatsApp and previously over SMS. And so we're finally finally, like, devoting our resources to making an app because it's such a popular request with our members, and it's gonna be able to do a lot of really cool things. So I've been working with a designer who's actually someone I went to college with, so it's been fun. We have, like, I think a really good start and, reviewed those designs with my engineering team. The other big push is we have this coaching product that we've made available. So original Shelpful was you signed up and you're paired with a real human accountability coach, and we incorporated AI a lot over time. And our this newest thing we launched was allowing any coach, like nutrition coach, a fitness coach, like anyone who teaches someone something or sells a course to come on and they can actually train our AI to make a little AI mini me like for their clients. So their clients can actually have the coach a little bit in their pocket and keeping them on track with the course or whatever they're working with the coach on. And the coach can like chime in. So we have like a big push for us right now is just getting more coaches to play with it and send it to their clients. I think we got like 8 more signed up last week, and my co-founder Lydia does a lot of calls with them and kind of because it's the early stage. It's actually pretty self-service. We built it so that, but it's a new thing, so we do a lot of calls and are happy to do them because that's that's I feel like that's one of the hacks for me. The like of course classic startup advice is do 2 things, build product and talk to customers, and then build product and then talk to customers. And so, like, just
Right.
be staying really in touch with your customer. I think we kind of, over the course of our business, have built in a lot of hacks of ways to talk to our customers. So, like, these, like, concierge calls, we're sure for free, we're gonna help you through it. But the advantage is we learn a lot about them and what they need. And for consumers, we've always offered these free habit coaching calls, which are super helpful for the member. It's not an actual trick, but by talking to them about their habits, I learn a lot about what they actually need to support those habits. So that's been great. Jesse, what have you been working on?
Yeah, so it's been fun over here. So I've been last time I was kind of dancing around talking about this app that I've been working on. So I have a buddy that's a developer, and I'm a developer too. And so he's more of like the back end, and I'm the front end. We've been working on this idea for a while, but we just launched the website, which is wavepal.app. So that's the name of the app, is Wavepal, and it's sort of like a friendship management sort of thing. Basically, I'm really bad about keeping in touch with my friends. And so this is an app to help me like track details about friends, track when I've interacted with friends, and remind me to like, hey, it's been 6 months since you texted your sister. Maybe you should reach out, that sort of thing. So that's sort of the basic premise of like 4 years has gone by and I haven't talked with my, best friend from high school. We used to talk all the time and just you just lose track of it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so we launched the very basic website right now, which is just sort of like a waitlist form, basically. So we kind of like a letter, just like, hey, does this sound familiar? Does this, do you relate with this or whatever? And then have a sign up form, which has been going really well. So I think we're a little over 400 people on the wait list, which feels good for like not really doing too much. I mentioned it in my newsletter, which
I was like,
obviously
how'd you
helps
get to
having a really
400?
big newsletter.
I must have missed that. So this is live news for me, and it's really hard for me to not actually look up your website while we're talking here.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, you'll have to check it out as soon as we
Yeah.
get off this. But yeah, another thing that I had done before launching that website, I had mentioned also in my newsletter a little like an interest form. So I had, and like 100 people filled that out. And it was just kind of like a type form survey, kind of doing like what you were talking about, like trying to do that customers, what do they want? Where are their concerns? And that was super helpful. So we had like 10 questions and found a lot of it was confirming what we're aiming to solve. And we were kind of had an idea of like, this is what we think would be helpful. But we really tried to construct the survey in a way that was like, if we're wrong, we want the survey to easily be able to surface that.
I actually, just as an extra data point for you, for Shelpful, we keep it pretty open ended on what people want support with. And unprompted, a lot of people have specifically mentioned that as something they need help with regularly. And I'm talking like brushing your teeth can be a thing. Like, people are just
Right,
generally
right.
open-ended saying what they need help with, and staying in touch with friends and family is huge. And we can, like, remind them, but, like, that tracking, I can see that being really helpful for people because there's guilt associated with that too, right? Where you're like,
Totally. That's the whole thing. I feel so
yeah,
much shame and guilt when I'm not doing that thing. And so
yes.
it's one of those things where like trying to validate it. It's like I know the problem exists because I experience it and I hear from people all the time. And what I don't know is if what we're building is going to be the right solution, but that's hopefully what we find out. Michelle Hansen wrote a book, Deploy Empathy. So I read that like last week, which is all about doing like customer interviews and stuff like that. And I've been trying to decide, like, do I want to reach out to those people that filled out the survey right away? Or I think what I've landed on is I'm going to wait until we get to kind of an MVP version that like does just enough to be useful and then get some people on like a video call so I can sort of watch them, stumble through it and realize all the issues that don't seem like they're there right now. When I use the app, it works perfect. It does everything exactly how I expect it to. There's like a quote that's something like, no product survives first contact with the customer or something, or with the user, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
plan, yeah, no plans or has contact with the enemy. I think it was, like, a famous general
Yeah.
said that. What's Patton? General Patton. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
that's
Someone
that too.
adapted it to product because I
Oh,
know
yeah,
that
well,
one
that would be
too. Yeah.
true. Yeah, I mean, both work. I love that,
Yeah.
Jesse, and
Yeah.
I think that it's a really good instinct to talk to the customers, but also the whole advice of build product, talk to customers involves not just sitting. I think I talk to a lot of startup founders, and especially in my advising days, of kind of that might be get stuck in that research phase. They felt like they really need to validate it before they could build a thing, which you obviously aren't doing. I mean, it has to be a parallel path. One person needs to need it for you to maybe start building something, and then learn as you go, but don't just stay in the learning phase forever because you will find ways to convince yourself not to start.
What I've done in the past is I think more the opposite of like, I think someone wants this. So I'm going to build it for 2 years, and then when it's perfect, then I'll release it. And what happens is I never actually release it because it never hits that perfect point. And then even if I had, it probably there was 0 validation. And so I'm really trying to, yeah, like balance that line of getting both, of like getting that customer feedback and then building and then back and forth because I know like how important that is.
I was just thinking about what Jesse was saying earlier about showing the customer the product and seeing how they interact with it. And I think that's a good idea. I wonder if it's also good to, before you show them the product, just talk to them about the problem, because once you put the product in front of them, they can get really sucked into like, oh, I don't like this part of the UI, or I get confused on what I'm doing. But they're already kind of in the product flow that you created. And they might be trying to solve a problem that, like the UI for the problem that they're not actually having. So it might be worth also just asking them before you show them anything, just kind of ask them about their problem. And their problem might be what you're solving for, but it might also be something slightly different, and then you show them the UI and get them to go through that, because I think there's sort of two slightly different things. Like I've shown people my UI as well, and they get really hung up on like, oh, this menu or whatever. But I'm like, is that actually the problem that you're having, or are you just kind of poking holes in my UI design? And they're kind of slightly two different paths for me.
And it's actually hard for any general consumer to compartmentalize product feedback and actual feelings.
Yeah, you're asking them for
Right.
feedback on the design in a way, but there's also a path where you're asking them for feedback on their problem.
Right.
And sometimes when they're describing the problem, they also start going into like a solution mode, and that's okay. But then you also have to step back and go, well, is that the actual solution that I want to build? Or is that the way I would execute the solution? Because customers always they always jump straight to that. They're like, what if you did this? I get this all the time on emails. People go, I have a feature request. Can you do this? And they're very specific about what they want me to make.
Right.
And then I sort of step back and go, well, what's the actual problem that you're having? Like, is that the way I would solve it? That's the way you might want to solve it, but is that the actual solution? And then maybe I might actually solve it a different way, which is not what they asked for, but maybe it's what they need.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of like feature requests are identifying problems so that
Yeah,
you can figure out a solution.
exactly.
Because
Exactly.
Yes.
like most often those like some obviously there's some exceptions, but most often I feel like those feature requests are really like, okay, well, what's the problem they're having? Because there's probably something else I can do so that they
Hmm.
never get to that problem or whatever it is. So I'm trying to figure it out, like
Hmm.
trying to figure out what to do because we did the survey and the survey I got, I think I feel like I got a lot of that information. And so I was like, I read Michelle's book and it talks about both. It's kind of, it does a really great job of kind of identifying like, here's the sort of interview you should do before you've launched a product. Here's what you should do for like a walkthrough. Here's what you should do for somebody that's canceled. Like it goes through a whole bunch of stuff and has really great templates, which is awesome for me. So I know like, oh, these are the questions I should ask. I've been sort of torn of like, what is going to be the most effective use? And my worry is that if I do that, that I'm not going to get that much more than I already have from the survey questions because I did the whole like the magic wand, question of like, hey, if you had a magic wand, what would be the perfect solution for helping with friends or whatever. And a lot of the stuff in there was like really validating for what we were already planning to do. I'm still trying to figure out what makes the most sense to do because I have these people that signed up that are like, okay, cool, they're excited enough to go through at least 10 questions. So it was like people went through, and I want to make sure I don't waste that resource. Like I don't want to reach out to them and then be like, oh, and then let me reach out to them again in 2 weeks because maybe I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how to
Yeah,
navigate that.
that's a really good point, because you don't want to burn through all the people that you have. Like you don't need
Right.
50 people to tell you the same thing. Like if you get 10 people telling you the same thing, you could stop that line of questioning almost and go, okay, well, there's definitely like a pattern here, and then go solve for it, and then use the next 10 people to test if the new idea or execution that you did solves that, versus asking 20 people straight away and you get the same answer 20 times and you're like, well, it's hard for me to go back to them now because I already took up some of their time, and maybe I don't want to go back to get the same answer that I would have got anyway.
And the use of the product tells you things too. The voices don't, right? So like getting something in someone's hand and seeing if they actually go to a tab or do the first action you want them to on a product. can tell you a lot more. And then if that's not happening, then you have actual things to ask about versus the concept. I mean, it feels like if you that survey told you the concept is a go, I think you're a go to do an MVP. Like if this is the product you need, which you already said you did, and you're
Mhm.
that's for me actually enough to build an MVP. I think you did one extra step in MVP, minimally viable product. I think you did an extra step to validate and maybe kind of feature pick in terms of what to do first. But my argument would be the sooner you can get it in someone's hands, the better you will be at building the product. And we obviously gave an example of like building for 2 years and versus the
Right,
scrappy
right.
thing. But this was a really illuminating thing that Michael Seibel, a Y Combinator, said that a minimally viable product. So, like the question: if someone's hair is on fire, what would be the minimally viable thing you could give them to put their hair out from being on fire? I'm
Bucket of
asking.
water
Marie?
or a coat because you have it right there.
Yeah, a blanket, or whatever's within reach that I have that I would pay for. We haven't talked about that, but that is part of it too.
How much are you gonna
I
charge
feel
them?
like I'm about to be graded on this
Well,
answer.
no,
But
I
yeah,
mean, his
is it a
answer, those
riddle?
are that's what you're supposed to say. Those are the normal answers. I
Yeah.
mean, his answer to that is a brick. If someone's hair is actually on fire, like we're saying their hair is literally on fire. Anything nearby, they will smash on their head. Their problem is so severe, their problem is so acute that they will literally, if there's nothing around, then you're like smashing things on your head to
It's like
try to put it out,
anything.
right?
Yeah.
A
Like
hand,
your
a brick,
hand might be the
right?
answer. Like, yeah.
Right. And so like I actually bring that up a lot in our internal conversations because I'm like, we're actually trying to build a brick for someone with their hair on fire, not a great fire blanket. Because we're really trying to like get them that just first little taste of solving the problem, if possible. Like not every product can be beautifully MVP'd. And beautifully is probably not a word that belongs with an MVP, but that you're really trying to see if you can solve any amount of their problem.
Yeah, I would say one of the things we've really intentionally done as well with this is, which is really hard for me, is not have very much design language. Like it's not designed beautifully. I'm basically using an off the shelf UI kit because I'm trying not to have any opinions yet. So I'm trying to do as much as vanilla as we can, make the app so that we can see kind of what you were saying before, Marie. Like, I don't want someone to get stuck on the fact that I have this like whole gradient here or these different I don't know, something that's more maybe beautiful, but I don't want that to get in the way. So I've really intentionally like tried to not just very vanilla, like does the thing. Like there's a lot of things I want to do. Like I would want to be able to go to like a person's profile page and be able to like live edit, like click on the name and be able to like edit right there and hit enter and it saves right there. And there's stuff like that that I would want to do because that's a UI that I enjoy. But for right now, there's just a big button that says edit, and it's just a big form and a modal to make it so it's very vanilla and not like beautiful yet until we've sort of validated like this is actually doing what we want it to do.
See, I'm slightly conflicted with this because, so I'll give you an example with Llama Life. So, Llama Life is kind of like a to do list where you create your list and then you set countdown timers against every task. And if you just think about that as a product or a solution, like there's a lot of products out there that kind of have this functionality, but for the ADHD audience, I don't think they are interesting enough or have enough variety or feel like they have enough fun for me to come back and use them. In fact, sometimes I look at some other solutions, I'm like, that's really ugly, and I can't see myself using it because it's clunky from a functionality perspective, but also just ugly. I would say it really depends on the product because, like, one of the unique things about Llama Life that's well, I think sets it apart, and I've heard like people have told me it sets it apart is that people like the UI and they like the experience and they like the little quirky touches that have been thrown in. And for the audience, which is, people with ADHD, that's the reason they're using Llama Life over another product. And so maybe if I had to go back in time and do an MVP, like maybe those creative touches or little flares are like part of the MVP.
But what was the MVP that you built for yourself? Like, did that have like, because I love that point. Every product has different different definitions than an MVP, that's for
Exactly.
sure.
So the first version of Llama Life that I built did have some of that because I wanted it. And that was the thing that made it fun for me and basically a product that I want to
The
use.
confetti was the
That was
product.
the problem. Yeah, so the problem was that other products felt boring and I lost interest. That was part of the problem, I guess. So me solving that problem involved doing a kind of quirky UI.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a lot of nuance with an MVP. Like a lot of people think about MVPs as being functional, just pure function, but UI or design or creative aspect could factor in if that is part of the problem. I think that's the key. If it's part of the problem that you're solving, then it can actually go into an MVP.
Yeah, because I kind of think like with Llama Life, I would say that maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like the problem that Llama Life is solving is that a norm like kind of twofold. Like one, a normal to-do list is not doing the timers thing, and timers is really key. That's probably the biggest problem I would say that Llama
Yep.
Life is solving. But number two is probably that most to-do lists are really boring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that would make sense that for you, your MVP had the confetti. It didn't have a lot of the stuff it has now, obviously, but it had that because that confetti was part of that problem that you were trying to solve. Is yeah, that a normal task list wasn't very fun, and
Yeah,
fun
there's
was
no
important for you
dopamine.
to actually use it.
Right.
Mhm, mm.
Our
Yep.
MVP for Shelpful was so the problem we were solving was lack of support. Like I felt like I got everything done for everyone else and nothing done for myself. And I kind of hated myself for that. Periodically,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I was severely shaming myself for like not being able to take care of myself. So the MVP for us, and actually we genuinely made this and launched this in a week from ideation to launch was what if we just literally have someone sign up in a type form and then we pair them to text with a person and we just matched and they're off and running. And that's we so we posted in a bunch of Facebook groups and then a lot of people signed up. And so it was kind of awesome, but it was also a really big problem because we weren't like set up at all for it. So we had to do a really big scramble, but like
Like
we were
how
capable.
many are you okay sharing the number? Do
Oh,
you
from
remember
this
how
very
many?
first post? I mean, it was like 60 or so people. So we had to flip to a wait list. I did have some software set up. I had like a customer service software so we could at least text from a software, like a
Right.
managed place, not like from our individual numbers. So they had a number. I had it set up to have a welcome text. That was it. So they would sign up, they'd get a welcome text, and we'd planned nothing after that. So me and my co-founder literally went in, we're like, and people started signing up. I'm like, okay, you take this person, I'll take this person. And we kind of just were talking all day, like, okay, what should we do if they ask for this? What should we do? We hadn't really thought through the product that much because all we felt like was people needed more support on their daily things. And we felt like that was a problem and maybe someone else had it. Well, that was super validating, obviously, that not only it was a free trial, no credit card required. So it was I think it was low stakes to try. But I mean, there was a form you had to fill out. It wasn't nothing like, Jesse was probably at least 10 questions. And so it was validating and we learned a lot about those customers, especially because of the format, because we were chatting with them as we called it a shelper,
Right.
like a super helper. And so we're literally texting with this person. Okay, so what's on the thing today? What are you struggling with? And we're learning so much about what brought them in. So it kind of accidentally worked really well. I mean, I guess it wasn't an accident that I rushed it out the door because I knew I could make it work. I have on my little hacky fancy, like Maria always calls me out. I'm obsessed with Zapier. So I'm not a developer, but I was able to automate a lot of things just by being a scrappy product person. And so I was able to get it set up enough. And so for us, yeah, like Marie, for us, the design wasn't as necessary. We just needed to get someone supported in the most simple way possible. And it ended up working great for that MVP in terms of learning fast.
What we've sort of decided on is the MVP for our app is because I have like I already have like 4 years worth of ideas to work on. Like it's so many things that I want to have in the app. But what we kind of have like three things that we've decided the app is. So like one being like an address book that you can track. We're calling them waves, but like anytime you interact with somebody. So you're like, oh, I had, like after this meeting, I would record a wave that I had with, Sharon and Marie, and then that would be logged. And so then I could see like, oh, last time I had a wave with Marie was a week ago or whatever it is. And then the second piece being reminders kind of connected to that so that I can set it for, oh, I want to make sure that 2 months doesn't go by without me, reaching out to this person. And so send me like, to start would probably just be email. So an email reminder to let me know like, hey, it's been 2 months since you talked to this person or whatever. So that's our basic MVP, is that. And we're getting pretty close to that, which feels nice. And it only feels useful to me, which is super cool. Like that's my favorite part. Like as we're building it and then we get to a part and I'm like, I just had a chat with this person. I want to be able to add them to the app so that I have that logged and I can leave like little notes like, oh, I talked with this person and here's some of the things we talked about. And I've already found myself referring back to that. Like, oh, that's right. When I talked with my friend Rich, we were talking about this idea and that idea, and having that available has been really useful. So I'm already finding it useful, which feels amazing. And so I'm like, I just want to get this out and see other people use it. And then we have to figure out pricing and all of that whole mess.
So one other thing that I would like need almost for this app is that, for example, me and Jesse were watching this show called Silo. So Jesse watched it first, and then I watched it a bit later. And then when I finished watching, I was like, I need to remember to talk to Jesse about Silo. And so we had a few text messages, but then I was like, today, I was like, when we get on this call, I've got to remember to tell Jesse about this thing in Silo. And I totally forgot what it is now, but like going forward, can it be like, here's something I want to talk to you about that I need to log? Because when I do get on a call with you, then I can go, oh, I wanted to talk to you about these things. Because I totally forgot what I was going to tell you about the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But so it's, you had something going backwards, but then like going forward as well. Like when I do talk to that person, I want to bring these things up.
Yeah, like a little
That's
I'm just
little
making your product
agenda.
more complicated now, but
Yeah.
like,
Yes, let's think of ways to
you
make it
did
more
it to me at the
complicated and
start. So
have no. No, but I actually agree, Marie. I feel like I'm always like, "Oh, I want to mention this to this friend," or I like snoozing tech, like being able to delay text messages that came out. It's been forever for Android, but just came out on iPhone. That was huge for me because I would feel like I would just, these things would spin in my head. Like, got to make sure to tell Natalie this, got to make sure to tell Vanessa that.
totally,
And just having
totally.
some place to put that would be great.
Currently we have it where there's just sort of in addition to having like notes for like those past events, we just have a generic notes that you have for users. So that would be the customer support version of like, yeah, we totally support that. Go to the notes and add it there. But I love the idea of having that as like a dedicated thing, because in the survey, several people mentioned like a lot of the struggle is just like almost I guess this is sort of related, but like conversation starter, where they're like, I don't even know how do I reach out to this person? Do I need to say that it's been too long? Like, how can I do that? And this is, I think, sort of related to that, of being able to be like, oh, I want to, next time I talk with this person, I want to be able to have kind of these things that I notes to talk about or whatever.
A blank box of notes is like a perfect MVP, also for you to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
You could confirm your assumption that they want to plan ahead for conversations, but you also might learn someone's eye color or something that you would never have guessed, you know?
Right, like, I've already done for me, I have, like, the notes section, and then for my wife, I've added in, like, some of her favorite flowers because I always forget. I know that there's some flowers she likes and some that she doesn't, and then I'm at the store, and I'm like, "Oh, no, which one is it?" And then I think I have a note from forever. It would be nice to have, like, a dedicated thing for that, and, like, gift
For the
ideas, yeah,
wives of the world.
dislikes.
just
So I'm like, why did you, I don't like this. Why'd you give me this? Oh, it's so fun to see an MVP being born. So are you doing iOS
To start with, it's just web.
web?
So
Okay.
it's web app only. Obviously, everyone's gonna want the mobile app, but that we're pushing that off because neither one of us is a mobile developer. I know React really well. Marie, you kind of tackled that, having not done it before
yeah,
with
I
Llama
have
Life.
so many thoughts on that, but we can talk about
Yeah,
it next
we
time.
can talk about that separate. But I do think
uh,
that's a possibility once we get to the point where like, oh, we have customers, we have a solid thing working. But I don't want to try to tackle that too early because I know that's a whole beast to
I mean,
figure
I think
that
that's
out.
another example of a brick for the hair on fire, right? Like, yes, they want it on
Right.
mobile ultimately, but what's the
hmm
easiest way to get it out?
You could do PWA as well.
We've also, again, like I said, I have like 4 years worth of features, but like another thing I've thought about is like, well, maybe actually there's like a WhatsApp or SMS like connection you could do to like be able to log an event on the fly or something like that, where you don't necessarily have to go to the app, but you can send like a WhatsApp message that says like, "Hey, I just grabbed lunch with my friend, Derek or whatever," and it automatically logs that. That's something that would be pretty
It
cool.
would actually be pretty simple with Twilio.
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah.
have
Oh,
to talk
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But
Because I mean,
kind of like almost
Twilio,
like
yeah.
expenses logging, where you like
Yes.
quickly, you take a
Take a
photo of the receipt
picture.
and send it.
Yeah.
That's sort of
Yeah.
like the idea, but for logging like an event sort of thing.
I would love voice. Like, I use voice a lot for reminders. I'm always telling Google, like, to remind me to do something on this date.
Yeah, like I said, 4 years worth of features.
The way I solve the problem now, like a dedicated app for it would be awesome. But the way I solve the problem now is I literally, like, if I have a conversation with a friend and they go, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do this thing on Thursday," and so I'll literally, like, in my phone, I'll say, "Hey, Google, remind me to ask my friend about this thing on Thursday at this time." And I do it straight away. Like, I've kind of got into the habit of doing this because I know myself that I'll just forget. My phone is full of reminders, like really tiny things, like ask this person about this on this day. That's how I solve the problem now. It works for me at the moment, but it means that it's all jumbled up and I can't go into any single friend, which is what you're kind of proposing. Go into a friend's profile and go, here's my history, what we talked about last, what's coming up for them, what I need to ask them about, how long it's been since I spoke with them. That I don't have that now. I just have this reminder that has no context and just says, ask this person about this on this day.
So people use Shelpful a lot for this, which has voice. We'll ask for that very similar thing, Marie. One good thing about Shelpful is it like comes back to you. Like it doesn't because like if I snooze the reminder or dismiss it, then it's like, okay, I'm not gonna look at that again. But it'll like, your to-dos are kind of keep getting sent to you, like, hey, here's a list, like take a look at it. So it helps a little bit, but yeah, there's no context saved on all these people all these characters that you're talking about with your AI friend. Like we're not storing those friends. I don't know. It's definitely a problem, Jesse. Like I think the very least we can agree on that. And I'm
Yeah, yeah,
excited to
yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I think we have a really clear idea for the MVP and then a few obvious things that we'll want to do next. And then, like, I feel like 6 months out or something, we get to the point where there's a lot of diverging paths we can go because there's a lot of things kind of related. Once people are using the MVP version and hopefully getting value from it, what are they feeling like that their next most pressing kind of need that's related is, and kind
Yeah.
of iterating from there. So yeah, cool. I'm excited to hear both of you like respond well like this. It's great. And I feel like
I can
most
confirm
of the
it's definitely a
conversations I've
problem.
had have felt like that. So
Yeah.
nice.
And it's like even if the way you're solving the problem doesn't perfectly solve it, I think validating that the problem exists is a great first step too. From there you can go do lots of other things and try different things.
Totally.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good place to end the episode. It sounds like you're in motion, though. You've got progress. You're in motion. So, what do you plan to do between now and the next time we chat?
Right now we're basically just wrapping up the like it feels like adding somebody, tracking waves and like editing the profile. All of that feels like it's mostly wrapped up and then we need to move to notifications. So that's sort of the big thing. And that is like a whole beast too because I know like if I sign up for something and I get like 2 or 3 notifications more than I want, then I just delete it. And so like figuring out how to manage notifications so that it's helpful but never annoying. Because what I don't want is anyone to get the app, sign up, add a bunch of reminders, and then just feel more guilty because an app's reminding them that they're failing.
Especially for ADHDers, right?
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like really top of mind. Like, I'm not going to say like we have the perfect solution for it. But what I can say is that is very much something we're focused on solving. And so, like, figuring out how to like batching notifications, like surfacing the ones that matter the most, because like we also are, plan to have like birthday reminders and things like that. And so those are date sensitive. Whereas the other sort of like, hey, I want to talk to this person I want to make sure 3 weeks doesn't go by without me talking with this person. There's not an exact date that you need to get a notification for that. So we can navigate batching stuff so that you get one. Anyway, so that's kind of the next thing we're tackling is figuring out that notification system and how that's going to work.
Sounds like there's so many similarities. Like when you talked about like not getting overwhelmed by getting the notifications, it made me think about Llama Life because the whole premise of Llama Life is like it's not just about making a list because there's so many things out there that help you make lists. And then those lists get really long and you get a lot of guilt because you've got this massive list and I don't need to see that. What I need
Right.
is something to help me work through that list, like actually tackle the list, like action the list. I don't need something else that will help me make a list or something that will give me more reminders. I need something that will give me the reminder, but actually work on that, like do the reminder, like take action. And same with Llama Life, like take action on the list. It's all about how do you get someone to go through that and work through it. That's the real win. It's not making the list. Who cares about making a list? Like you have to
Totally.
finish the list. That's the whole point. That's where the magic of the product comes in. Like if you can actually help people get the reminder, that's just part one. You have to action the reminder. You have to do the thing. That's the hard bit. Like do the thing. And if your product can get people to do the thing, then you solve the problem. And so I think a similar Shelpful. It's like you're motivating people to do the thing, right? Like getting a reminder on what you need to do. Nobody, so what? Like I get a reminder, that's great. But
Yes.
do you do the thing? Because if you don't do the thing, then you haven't, nothing changes. So I think our three products all have this same
Do the
theme.
thing and and be like a separate brain, right?
Yeah,
And actually,
yeah.
Jesse, you're doing this kind of second brain thing too. Kind
Hmm.
of have this place where, because I don't trust my brain. So like I love having
Totally.
somewhere I can park things that I know it will come back to me, that it's not going to be in some note that I forget that goes away forever. I'm curious too. I feel like for people listening, I just talked to so many people who are like, I've been thinking about doing this for 2 years. I'm curious. I mean, in the comments of wherever you're listening or watching this, tell us what the thing you want to build is. And maybe we can, on a future episode, just rapid fire and we'll give terrible ideas for an MVP for you. But I feel like between all of us with our different levels of being technical, like I know a friend of mine started a babysitting like matching app with a spreadsheet and a burner phone. Like just to not use her own phone. So that because people were
Right.
calling and booking and she was putting them in a spreadsheet and matching them with a babysitter. And that's how it started. That was an MVP. She got trusted babysitters in people's homes when they needed them. Boom. I think it's hard when you care a lot about a solution to a problem. It's hard to peel it down to something really, really minimal unless someone maybe
Right.
challenges you on it and asks you questions about it. So please, yeah, please share yours because I think it's always interesting to hear. And I think we would do a great job at giving you horrible ideas that maybe would actually just challenge your brain a little bit.
Maybe
That
those will spark the good ideas
spark
for you
them.
that
Yeah.
actually knows the idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yes,
knows the
that's what
Yeah.
I
problem.
meant. Jesse knows.
Awesome, cool. Well, yeah, I think this is probably a great place to wrap up. Sharon, where can people go to kind of follow what you're doing online?
You can find Shelpful online at shelpful.com, just the letter S in front of the word helpful, and at Shelpful, mostly on Instagram and TikTok. We love to share all the tips about habits and life hacks. You can find us, the three of us, online at ADHD_founders. Jesse, where can people find you?
I do a weekly newsletter at extrafocus.com. You can sign up for get on the wait list for WavePal at wavepal.app. And then I'm on all the social media as ADHD Jesse. And Marie, how about you?
I'm on all the socials at 3 Hour Coffee, spelled out 3 Hour Coffee, or you can go to llama life.co. So it's not .com, it's .co.